This world is vast, teeming with unparalleled magic and terrible monsters. Adventure awaits around every corner with glory and loot just a dice roll away. All it takes is courage and a bit of luck. Many of its denizens are too focused on the deadly gelatinous cube in front of them to stop and think about the multiverse that lies beyond, and how two seemingly different fantasies are more closely connected than anyone ever realized, and how planeswalkers could find their way into your next campaign. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Aether Hub, or if it's your first time, come in, take a seat, as we have another tabletop tale to tell. I'm Simon, and today we're exploring a world beyond Magic the Gathering that looks to crash violently into our beloved card game in the form of a crossover. I'm of course talking about the OG of tabletop adventures, Dungeons & Dragons. With Magic the Gathering getting its first taste of Dungeons & Dragons with a new expansion, Into the Forgotten Realms, I thought this would be the perfect time to explore the expansive lore of Dungeons & Dragons. Consider me a brand new dungeon master, walking you through a beginner's guide to the tales, myths, and legends of the Forgotten Realms in D&D. So, if you're new to building a campaign or just want to learn more about the world you're fighting in, this video is a great place to start. And what better place to start than at the very beginning, the creation myth for the lands of Faerun, the land that we know as the Forgotten Realms. As Magic the Gathering embarks into its first full-blown crossover expansion with its neighboring IP of Dungeons & Dragons, we come to learn the set will focus on adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the Forgotten Realms being the common term for the setting in which most of the campaigns in D&D's 5th edition take place. More specifically, it focuses on a single world, or plane, known as Toril. Upon this shockingly Earth-like planet are continents, civilizations, and empires with histories all their own, and this includes the popular lands of Faerun. But all these aspects wouldn't exist if not for the creation of this universe. Let's learn how all this came to be. Like most creation myths, those who theorize about their origins quickly turn to the divine. One of the highest gods, the Overgod, the creator of all, is known as Ao. Ao's own origins are mysterious, and the way in which they created the universe is only hypothesized. What we learn from myth is that Ao only created space, known as realm space, but for eons it existed only as a cold, blank emptiness. That was until Ao created the first in his pantheon of lesser deities. Whether on purpose or by chance, this misty void coalesced two forces not yet born, light and dark, and from them came twin goddesses, the calming, glowing radiance of Selûne, and the cold but welcoming embrace of Shar. These twin goddesses were born to a universe of nothing, no planets, no matter, not even heat existed yet. To stay off boredom, they went around creating the cosmos, adding those structures you can see in the ever-expanding night sky. With the creation of the heavens, one planetary body was given life, or more accurately, a soul, in which it communicated with its mothers. This soul was known as Shanti, and it cried out to the goddesses for heat. This planet's desire to grow and harbor life was so strong that it begged and pleaded endlessly, but the twins were divided on how to handle Shanti's request. The goddess of light, Selûne, wanted to give their child heat, to let them grow life of their own, while the goddess of dark, Shar, believed it was against the cosmic order and that this life would bring only chaos. The twins fought and fought over this issue, and with every clash, rung in a new aspect of the universe, laws of nature that govern those in the Forgotten Realms today. With a spell, Selûne accidentally created the deity of war, and with a strike, Shar created the deities of disease and death. These fell forces that plague adventurers were birthed in this cosmic clash. But boons too came from this conflict, as the creation of magic also came at this time. This is the battle you and I must fight forever. Shar, night devouring the light of the moon replenishing itself. That is our place in the balance of nature, the fragile eternal balance Lord Ao has charged us gods to uphold. Selûne had become weak from the never-ending fighting with her sister, so she reached beyond the universe itself into the plane of fire, grabbing a handful of flame and using it to engulf a nearby heavenly body, thus creating a sun from which Shanti could grow, its heat and light being the ingredients needed for life. Her sister, Shar, the goddess of darkness, was furious at the eternal light and heat, and began traveling the cosmos, snuffing out any trace of Seiloon's influence. All light, all warmth, was beginning to fade from the edges of the universe, with this new sun being Shar's ultimate target. From the shadows of chaos, two sisters are born, one bright Seiloon, the other dark Shar. A harmonious balance soon to be torn when Seiloon gives life with flame from afar. Seiloon would not sit idly by and watch her sister destroy her great work, but in order to stop her, she would need to sacrifice a great deal of her own being. The goddess of light tore into her own divine essence, the very magic that built her entity, and cast it at Shar, ripping straight through the goddess of darkness. The essence this spell took from Shar combined with the essence of Seiloon to create a new deity, Mythology, the goddess of magic. This seemingly never-ending conflict between Seiloon and Shar would forever be known as the War of Light and Dark. Composed of both a light and dark side, Mythology exists simply as a conduit for magic. What that magic is used for is really none of her concern, but she does govern how much magic can be used by any one entity, god or otherwise, at any one time. That's not to say Mythology doesn't have a preference though, as the goddess of magic leaned more towards her first mother, the goddess of light, Seiloon. Despite that, Mythology succeeded in what seemed to be impossible, bringing order to the feuding sisters, balancing the battle, and establishing an uneasy truce between light and dark. As the universe expanded and light grew more influential, life began to flourish under Shanti's guidance. This world would grow to be known as Toril, with its sister moon named after the goddess Seiloon hovering above. From this piece, new gods and aspects of nature began to appear, some basking in the light of Seiloon giving her praise, while others harbored a hatred for the goddess, and sulked in the darkest corners of the universe with Shar. Though there was peace, a bitterness was seated within Shar, a hatred shared by her divine following. Seiloon, however, didn't make it out of this conflict as a sole winner. The creation of Mythology sapped a lot of the goddess's power, and now her light began to wane. This is how the normal day-night cycle was born, with Seiloon's warm hug taking Toril by day, and Shar's cold embrace wrapping it up at night. Thus was the creation of all life, reason, magic, good and evil, within the Forgotten Realms of Dungeons & Dragons. Though now the universe was formed and life emerged, however unlikely, that didn't mean the cosmos remained settled for very long. Much like the many tales of Magic the Gathering, the stories of the Forgotten Realms are numerous, with epic wars between gods, struggles between benevolent and malicious forces, and even interloping entities from outside of their reality, Dungeons & Dragons' version of Planeswalkers. So perhaps, with this crossover into the Forgotten Realms, the bridge between the multiverse may not be as far as we think. But for you just getting into the lore of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, I hope this video laid down the groundwork of everything that is to follow. And believe me, there's a lot left to follow. If you want to see more stories and tabletop tales, let me know by leaving this video a like, subscribing, and ticking that notification bell. And until next time, Dungeon Masters, see ya!